What up, viewers? Welcome to the Daily Space Weather. We've got only two named sunspot groups. We're looking at the SDO magnetogram here. We've got an interesting solar flare / plasma reorientation event that happened in the afternoon yesterday. And we've got a little bit of movement here of the umbral regions of sunspot 3068. I think sunspot 3071 over here has become a beta class sunspot. Here's some composite imagery. This is colorized magnetogram plus 171 angstroms. And thanks for tuning in to the Daily Space Weather, the main feature of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. We'll also show 193 angstroms, which shows the great reverberation that happened here. Was there a coronal mass ejection associated with it? Well, we'll cover that in a moment, a little bit later in the video. Let's zoom in on that. And we'll even slow it down a little bit. It was a significant C-class flare. And you can see a wave happening around the surface of the sun. One more time. There's that C-class flare event. We've also got a new volcano. A new fissure has opened near Fagradalsfjall. So all of that earthquake activity there was indeed the signal of a new volcano opening up. A continuous curtain of fire creating some spatter ramparts. So a new spatter cone there forming as part of the Fagradalsfjall system. Abico also erupting, producing a 14,000-foot ash plume. I think that's an uptick at Abico. Sakurajima exploded and produced a 10,000-foot ash plume. Suwanosejima, unknown volcanic ash plume size. It is erupting, so don't pole vault the caldera. Mount Ibu is exploding, flight level 070 over Mount Ibu. Krakatau now back on the list. It's produced a 3,000 to 6,000 foot plume of volcanic ash, which has drifted northwest and southwest. Semeru exploding, 14,000 foot ash plume from Semeru, 24,000 foot ash plume from Nevado del Ruiz down in Colombia. Sangay and Revenador both exploding in Ecuador. 22,000 foot ash plume over Sangay, 16,000 foot ash plume over Revenador, and Sabancaya in Peru continues to explode, producing a 26,000 foot plume of volcanic ash, flight level 260. And here's your global seismicity update. That's the 90-day bar graph courtesy volcanodiscovery.com. And let's go up the list here. No major quakes over the past 24 hours. Among the largest is this 5.4 near the Kermadec Islands there, north of New Zealand. Nicaragua also saw a 5.3. And coincidentally, I'm drinking Nicaraguan organic medium roast coffee today. Japan also had a 5.4. Largest quake of the past 24 was in the Japan region there near the Izu Islands. That was a 5.7. That one occurring at 3:39 Universal Time this morning. And there we'll scroll up and close out the list and head back to space. So here's some composite imagery. This is 335, 193, and 94 angstroms. You can see this plasma reorientation happening here. Did it indeed cause a coronal mass ejection? We'll get to it. The radio flux has crept up to 100 solar flux units. And there's the 1-year chart of the radio flux. It's this black line. If you're a new viewer, Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, including forecasts by Noaa. not forecasting any geomagnetic unrest or geomagnetic storms over the next 3 days. And here's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. You see, folks, this data is not available in its archive form, so we show 4 hours a day just to document some portion of the daily happenings. The scale shown is nanopascals, which is magnetohydrodynamic pressure, and things are quite calm here, reaching static equilibrium, sort of. Next, Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. Again, geomagnetically calm conditions here. And like the last video, this shows the last 4 hours. The scale shown is nanotesla magnetic flux density. Here's a KP index, planetary K index, only at 1. Again, no expectations of any major increases in this at the moment. There is a huge filament in the northeastern limb. We'll show that later in the video as well. People were watching it all day yesterday. It has not yet erupted or collapsed. So here's our real-time solar wind data. And we've seen a subsiding of a coronal hole high-speed stream here. Solar wind speed now at 435 kilometers per second. Solar wind density about 5.5 protons per cubic centimeter. GOES magnetometers are pretty smooth here over the past 3 days. That's the GOES 16 and GOES 17's magnetometer measurements. And Earth has recently moved into a North Pole current sheet, or you could say a North Pole current sheet has moved into the Earth. However you want to look at it, North Pole current sheet shown there in green. Here's our line of sight plot, and we've got a lot of North Pole oriented coronal holes moving into the Earth-facing zone here. So you can see the North Pole there. North Pole coronal holes shown in green. As some South Pole coronal holes rotate toward the edge of the solar disk. Here's a great wavelength to view that. This is the last 48 hours, actually, in 211 angstroms. And these are all North Pole here. So you can see the North Solar Polar Field region. This is North Pole. And these are South Pole-oriented coronal holes down here. Again, that's the last 48 hours. You can also see this huge filament up here, this prominence. Now moving to sunspots. And they've been pretty stable here over the past 24. 3068 has had some umbral migrations happening. For some reason, that's not animated. It is still beta-gamma class, at least. I think sunspot 3071 has grown a North Pole umbra. So that is now beta class, in my opinion. We'll show you high-res imagery of that. Here's our solar intensity gram from SDO. That's yesterday plus today. You can see these trailing umbrae migrating. Now they're rotating a little faster, so catching up to that leading umbra a little bit. And again, there is one small umbra forming here behind sunspot 3071. This one's known as 3068. This is the solar flare that was associated with that plasma reorientation that we saw happen. It was a C6.9 solar flare. And here it is in 94 angstroms. We'll zoom in on that. And we did not see any relativistic particles from that. And here's your star chart. If you're wondering what's going on above your head, try in-the-sky.org. We use the all-sky chart regularly on the channel. And our sky chart faces the south. That's the direction to the ecliptic from the northern hemisphere, which would be this yellow line. If you're up before dawn, you may see Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, and Venus rising ahead of the closest star. Here's your solar system forecast. Here's where things are. We've got a crescent waxing moon. Let's advance this 1 week as we approach another full moon. There's where things will be in a week. We're about a week out from a full moon. I think it's about 8 days. Keep in mind, this is not to scale. Next, some coronagraphs. You may be expecting to see a coronal mass ejection here from that C6 flare. However, there's almost no ejecta leaving the corona from that. So this is yesterday's imagery. You can see a solar flare up here in the northeastern quadrant. We'll also show today's imagery so far. There's today's imagery. That's only 10 frames. Let's show a little more data from Stereo A and this Soho Lasco C3. So again, things pretty chill here. That was basically just a plasma orientation, a plasma reorientation event. That C-class flare didn't really produce any significant ejecta. That plasma sort of just collapsed back down toward the chromosphere. And let's pause for station identification. This is the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Next, we're looking at hydrogen alpha imagery here. It's the El Teide, Spain ground-based solar observatory. And check out this prominence up here. It is quite huge, much larger than the Earth. In fact, the Earth would fit in this empty space down here with lots of space to spare. Some decent filaments down here as well as in the northern hemisphere also. Remember, folks, sometimes we see solar flares that don't produce coronal mass ejections, and regularly we see coronal mass ejections without solar flares or even sunspots. So here's that prominence. You can see it is still anchored. This is the last approximately 2.5 hours from the NASA GOES 16 SUVI. And here's 171 angstroms. That is yesterday and today, the SDO browse data imagery. And we're delighted to bring it to you, along with the most detailed space weather and imagery of the sun on the internet. So press like, press subscribe, press the notification bell. You may even be notified when we put up a video. YouTube.com/smashamash. Press share, leave us a comment. We regularly stream live to Twitch thanks to our new follower or followers over on Twitch. Follow us on Twitter. You'll see some things you won't see anyplace else if you do. Twitter.com/smashamash. Oh my God, something went wrong. First time. Follow us over there. If you don't have a Twitter account, create one. We won't get idiotically banned from the platform. Next, looking at our Redbubble shop. And these products there are 22 of them, and they are in order of best selling. We won't leave them on the screen for too long because they may be too controversial. And we don't decide what's the best selling. People like you decide what's the best selling. Thanks to everybody who's picked up merch over the years. Today's featured product is, whoops, Mensa. Make Earth not suck again. It's up to you. And I've actually got a Mensa hat myself. Remember, folks, our finest days lie ahead. And it's because of people like you out there making Earth not suck again. So start a conversation. We create this merch from the perspective of Spencer Gifts. Anybody remember Spencer Gifts? Yeah, they used to make provocative t-shirts and so forth. All the kids loved it. The kids loved to wear the Spencer Gift t-shirts to school and keep them hidden all day before they would be forced to turn them inside out. So do your part as we're doing ours by making videos like this one. Mensa, make Earth not suck again. It's up to you. You can find links below the video to our Redbubble shop. If you want to support the channel via subscription services and get a little bit more from us, join at the gold or silver level at smashomash.com/SmashTeam. Thanks to our Smash Team members. Welcome to the Neo Renaissance to all the rest of you. To everybody, welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists despite the pathetic censorship of big tech. Did you know the pathetic censorship of big tech is part of the reason why we created our own websites in the first place? In 2018, a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison for a crime we didn't commit. We promptly escaped a maximum security social media stockade to the internet underground where we survive as producers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can help, and if you can find the content, maybe you can hire the Smash Team. Good morning to you as well, Tin Man 1057. And let's get to our bonus feature segment here. Satellites Community Dashboard showing no charging hazards at the moment. Smooth sailing for our geosynchronous near equatorial satellites. Here's your GOES electron flux. And we can expect this to rise a little bit higher here following the subsiding of that coronal hole high-speed stream. And Noaa would tend to agree here. That's the Noaa relativistic electron forecast model. There's the one-year chart. Again, we're expecting a little higher levels here. And let's show the F layer of the ionosphere. It's located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. This is the vibrational frequency therein. It is the bridge between Earth and space. We'll also show the anomalygram. A lot of low-frequency anomalies there, especially in the Western world, around and south of the equator. Also some rapid swings of high to low-frequency anomaly there around Eastern Africa. There's the latest image. That's the ionogram. There's the anomalygram. We'll also show the total electron content forecast. This is the free electrons all the way up to the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt. That's the location of your GPS satellite. They're located at about 12,500 miles of altitude. These electrons include the ionosphere, two plasmaspheres, the thermosphere, the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model. That's your total electron content forecast. And this diagram is just to show you where those things are located. It shows you distances in miles to things like the outer Van Allen belt, the inner Van Allen belt, the International Space Station, and so on. Next, we're going to bring you the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. Let's take a look at sunspot 3068 first. There's the magnetic field situation. And you can see there is some magnetic complexity happening there. Those opposite field polarities are what make it beta-gamma class. We'll zoom back out and show 3071 as well. So there's 3071. And this little tiny umbra there on the trailing edge, that is North Pole polarity. So that's just barely a beta-class sunspot, in my opinion. And here's the full disk rock back to show you the full magnetogram. Oops. These areas up here are plages, not sunspots. Let's bring up one more series of images. How about 131 angstroms? Along with 94 angstroms, it's one of the two best wavelengths to view solar flares. Next, we're moving to our meteorology segment, and we're starting things out looking at currents. Let's look at currents. The kind that lie in the Atlantic Ocean. So, the Gulf Stream has not shut down. Europe has not experienced a year without a summer. We do have some anomalously cold water up here in the North Atlantic. You can see this. There's also some anomalously hot water in the North Atlantic down here. Nova Scotia, shout out to Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles, has got some anomalously cold water there to its south. And look at how cold Lake Superior is. Yowzers. Lake Superior is almost 15 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. Things pretty cold around Lake Superior. Anyway, those are currents as well as sea surface temperature anomaly. Just to show you that the Gulf Stream is still indeed making it to places like Ireland. If you were hoping to see a year without a summer in Europe, well, it didn't happen. Sorry about that. Those are just the facts. Here are the surface winds of Oceania and the Eastern world. Some strong winds here around the south of Australia as well as the east coast of Australia. Southern Ocean a little bit turbulent. Here are the jet streams of this side of the planet. Strong jet stream signal there over most of Australia. Some backward jet stream once again over the northern Indian Ocean. Some chaotic jet streams over the North Pacific. Here are the jet streams of the Americas. Strong anticyclone continues over the south-central U.S. Doubled up jet stream over the northern part of North America. Here are the surface winds. And last but not least, here are the surface winds of the central world, the Middle East, Africa, and Europe. And the jet streams. It's the 250 hectopascal winds, if you want to follow it yourself. The 250 hectopascal winds. A specific pressure that shows us the jet stream locations. Next, your weather.gov map. If your county is lit, click your county to find out what your weather warnings are. Some unfortunate weather here striking southern Missouri and portions of Illinois. Those red areas, those are flash flood warnings. Please heed flash flood warnings. Don't get stuck in a flood. There's no reason for it. If you're able to see this video, you're able to see all kinds of other weather information. Again, if your county's lit, click your county on weather.gov. Some flooding happening in Nevada and Eastern California and New Mexico as well. Weather.gov is the location of that. And let's look at the GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. We had to bring that up separately here as the data was not available when we did show prep. So here's your 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. And this anticyclone here is creating some clockwise rotations in this part of the country. And that's putting convective forces at play instead of the jet stream moving systems from west to east. That's why you may see some weather systems moving in odd directions, especially in the southwestern portion of the country. It's because of that upper level high pressure clockwise rotation. Anyway, you can see heavy systems coming soon. We'll get to it. Here is the rain accumulation over the next 3 days, and let's zoom in here. As there's some unfortunate numbers showing up there the next 3 days, showing some heavy rains in West Virginia, Kentucky, obviously Illinois, western Tennessee. So there's the next 12 hours, there's the next 24, and there's the next 3 days. That's the Euro forecast. Here's the GFS forecast, quite a bit different. Again, Euro forecast the next 3 days, GFS forecast the next 3 days. And let's move on to our NASA Goes Lightning Mapper. Heavy lightning there in southern Missouri. And if we've got real-time lightning, do we have terrestrial strikes? Indeed we do. Poplar Bluff is getting kaplastered with lightning right now. Yowzers. So some significant cells there. Approaching the Arkansas border. Lightningmaps.org. When you hear thunder, check it out. It could save your bacon. And here is our U.S. Doppler radar. Here's your shortwave radiation map, and check out the rapid cloud nucleation happening here in places like central Illinois, central Missouri, and northern Indiana. It'll show up better on the water vapor map. Looks like there's a few hours of missing data there. Look at how fast water vapor appears in the atmosphere in those areas. That is rapid cloud nucleation. Also, we've got a rather strong rotating low pressure system here. It's gotten a little more moist than it was yesterday, but it is surrounded by dry massive air. That will help to constrain it, but will not help to strengthen it. There is a bunch of Saharan dust out there, which tends to mute weather systems. So here's your Doppler radar, and you can see this system is actually moving southeast. It's moving sort of in this direction. Memphis. Memphis, you're about to get kaplastered. You are certainly in the crosshairs. That's a U.S. Doppler radar for the lower 48. Here's a shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. And here's the water vapor map. The heck? As yesterday's data. What is going on with that? Let's get today's data. That is funky. And we've just got a bunch of missing data there. I don't know what else to say. Let's try that one more time. It's just some missing data there from the... Let's just bring up the latest 10 images here. It'll be a little bit more accurate. Yeah, there's like 10 hours of missing data there. Anyway, that's the latest image. That is from 8:06 this morning, Universal Time. Thanks for tuning in to our composite coverage. And may that solar wind be at your back.